The year I was the most hated, I got sent back to the orphanage 3 times by foster families. Because I don't just have a rebellious personality, I've also got a sharp tongue. Until the 10th couple came to the orphanage with a little boy. Suddenly captions appeared before my eyes, the villain master peering nothing but flattery, which made him arrogant and unbearable. Anyone who dares talk back to him ends up with their family destroyed in a minute. The villain's parents were out of options, so they wanted to adopt a well-behaved child, hoping to influence the villain gradually. The well-behaved child? Well, that's got nothing to do with me. I was yawning out of boredom when an arrogant voice rang out. Mom, look, that little girl yawning is so fat. I frowned instinctively and opened my mouth to snap back. Where am I fat? Are your eyes crusted shut or something? The villain young master stared at me in shock. After a full 10 seconds of dead silence, he burst into loud tears. His face turned red as he cried, but he still managed to give word. Mom! She dared talk back to me. I'm gonna make her family pay. I gotta say, he's really good looking. Even crying like that, you can still tell his features are perfect. But the other kids in the orphanage had no time to appreciate that. They were scared stiff. They stood frozen in place, heads down, not. More captions appeared before my eyes. Since the other kids didn't like playing with me, I could only read books by myself. So I learned a lot of words. I could basically understand all those words now. That cute-looking little girl has such a brutal attack power. She has no idea how terrifying the villain will become later. The villain as a kid is just a spoil, but as an adult, he's completely lawless. Just because he couldn't get the female lead, he imprisoned her. And in front of her, he broke the male lead's legs, chaining up the male lead like a dog. Good thing this little girl doesn't meet the villain family's adoption requirements. Otherwise she won't even know how she died later. I felt relieved inside. I'm nowhere near well behaved. As long as they don't adopt me, the villain being bad has nothing to do with me. The beautiful lady apologized profusely to Zhizhang from the orphanage. This kid was spoiled rotten by his grandparents. There's nothing I can do. Zhizhang looked even more apologetic as she replied. Not at all. Yuan Yuan is just naturally like this. There's even less I can do. Only me, a little kid standing there alone. Standing straight, I shook my head seriously at the young master. You can't make my family pay, because, first of all, I don't have a family. The young master stopped crying suddenly, stared at me blankly, and hiccuped. His little face suddenly turned red, then he shouted at me aggressively. How is that possible? Don't you have a mom and dad? I tilted my head, looking at him in confusion. Is that a tumor on your neck? Don't you even know where you are right now? The young master froze, only then remembering he was at an orphanage. He was so angry he was huffing and puffing, not knowing what to say for a moment. His mouth opened and closed, his whole body turning red. His best weapon, threats, became completely useless against me. He started to panic. He turned and threw himself at the beautiful lady, swinging his little fists wildly at her thigh. Crying in hiccups, his snot and tears mixing together. Mom, make her go away. I don't like her. I don't want to see her. A trace of exhaustion crossed the beautiful lady's face. Zhizhang immediately came over and took my hand, saying apologetically, Mrs. Gu, I'm so sorry. I'll take Yuan Yuan back right away. The beautiful lady was about to stop her when Teacher Zhang looked at me and said sternly, Yuan Yuan, go apologize to your brother, then we'll go back. Teacher Zhang was always good to me. Every time foster families returned me, she never blamed me. I didn't want to make things difficult for her. So reluctantly, I walked toward the young master. He looked at me warily, clinging tightly to the beautiful lady's thigh. I stood straight in front of him, straightening out my faded little dress, and said softly, I'm sorry, brother. The young master lifted his chin and snorted lightly, his face regaining its arrogant expression. At that moment, my rebellious genes started acting up again. I tried to hold it in, but I just couldn't. So I added another line. Which part of what I said hurt you? Please tell me. I want to say it again. The young master's eyes slowly widened, looking at me in disbelief. The more he looked, the more wrong this expression became. The next second, his eyebrows furrowed, his nose turned red. He buried his head in the beautiful lady's thigh and burst into tears again. He was mumbling through his tears. Mom, she's bullying me. Your baby is being bullied. I instinctively talked back again. I'm not bullying you. I'm just not being that friendly to you. He cried even louder. The noise was annoying me, so I covered my ears and turned away. Teacher Jiang quickly pulled me aside, glaring at me with disappointment. Can't you just keep your mouth shut? Go back to your room. I shrugged and lifted my foot, ready to head back on my own. Suddenly, the handsome man who had been silent this whole time stopped me. Your name is Yuan Yuan, right? Wait a second. He exchanged a glance with the beautiful lady, then smiled at Teacher Zhang. Teacher Zhang, we've decided. We'll take her. The young master, busy crying, suddenly stopped. He looked up, staring at his parents in shock. Even Teacher Zhang tried to talk them out. Maybe you should think about it more. The young master doesn't seem to like Yuan Yuan. The handsome man cut Teacher Zhang off. At this point, we want to try a different approach. Talk. The handsome man crouched down in front of me, whispering in my ear. Yuan Yuan, would you like to come live with us? I didn't want to live with a villain. I was about to refuse, when more captions appeared before my eyes. Wait, wasn't the villain family supposed to adopt the sweet female lead? This little girl is cute, but she's not the female lead. She's gonna get killed by the villain real quick. The female lead is in that group of kids already scared senseless. I glanced at the little kids standing nearby. There were several girls, heads down, not daring to make a sound. I didn't know which one was the female lead they were talking about. Otherwise I'd definitely push her forward. The captions kept scrolling. Sure, the villain family has nothing except money. But living near the villain means having money but not living to spend it. Yeah, the villain family gives every adult child a trust fund, worth $1 billion, but the catch is you gotta live to 18. Wait, this important information comes out now. I immediately grabbed the handsome man's big hand with my chubby little hand, nodding hard. Yes, Dad, I'm willing. The young master suddenly pointed at me and yelled, Shut up, he's my dad, not your dad. I don't care, whoever gives me $1 billion is my dad. My comeback was right on the tip of my tongue, but I forced it down. The handsome man looked at me holding back and said, a bit unhappily, Yuan Yin, we're adopting you so you can be yourself without any worries. He encouraged me with his gentle eyes. I suddenly got it. The handsome man wanted me to fight fire with fire and keep the young master in check. That's easy. Whoever pays the $1 billion makes the... I immediately turned to the young master with a serious expression. Actually, brother, your dad adopted me, so he's my dad now. The young master's face turned red with anger. He plopped down on the floor, rolling around and crying. What I say goes, I don't care. I don't want you coming into my house. I frowned, looking at him in total confusion. Brother, are you Aristotle's little brother, Genimosto or something? The young master suddenly went quiet. He looked at me with pure, clear confusion. His clueless expression told me my current education level completely surpassed his. I shook my head with pity. Man, when God scattered wisdom across the earth, he held an umbrella over your brother. The young master still didn't seem to understand, staring wide-eyed and stuttering. You, what do you mean? I tugged on the handsome man's sleeve. Dad, please make sure brother gets some education. Our family can't have someone illiterate. The young master finally understood that one. His little face turned bright red, his mouth trembled, and he burst into tears again. The handsome man looked at him and sighed with disappointment. The captions flew by rapidly. The villain finally got a taste of his own medicine. Little sis licked her own lips and discovered she poisoned herself. But if the villain family didn't adopt the female lead, how will the villain fall for the female lead later? That's actually better. You the villain causing trouble, our Yao Yao and the male lead go straight to their sweet happy ending. Keep dreaming. The more they miss each other, the more obsessive and twisted the villain becomes when they meet again. Yao Yao. An image of a girl with big eyes floated into my mind. The female lead is but I was already in the car leaving the orphanage. Sweet. My foster parents ignored the young master's tantrum and took me away that same day. To prevent me and the young master from fighting in the car, my foster mom and I got in another car. On the way home, I learned the young master's name. His name is Gu Yan. He's 6 years old, only a few months older than me. But his destructive power is astounding. At home he's the emperor. If any servant dares control him, talk back to him, or make him even slightly unhappy, he'll cry all night until they're fired and thrown out. All the servants and the butler in the Gu household are super careful, terrified of upsetting him. The car gradually entered a fancy, upscale neighborhood. Green trees all around, streams babbling. Like where a princess would live in a fairy tale. I pressed against the car window, curiously watching the scenery outside. The car stopped in front of a magnificent, glittering building. I followed my foster mom through the front door, staring in awe at the palace-like house. Gu Ying'an arrived before me. He saw me, snorted coldly, and turned his head away proudly. He loudly ordered though in the living room that he wanted to ride a horse. I got the cat horses at home, so I stared without blinking, waiting for the horse. Just then, a tall man with perfect posture ran out. He dropped down on all fours in front of Gu Ying'an. Young master, please mount the horse. His face looked terrible, she said, barely containing her anger. Gu Ying'an, you're too old for this. Stop playing horse with the butler. Gu Ying'an started yelling again. I don't care, I wanna play, I wanna play. I wanna ride the horse upstairs. My foster mom's lips twitched, trying hard to maintain her composure. But I could feel her anger about to explode. The butler, still on all fours, smiled and tried to smooth things over. Madam, the young master is little and playful. I'll play with the young master for a bit, it's fun. My foster mom sighed. Shall he? Spoiling him like this will ruin him. The butler was about to speak, but Gu Ying'an had already climbed onto his back. Go, giddy up, go faster. The butler immediately put on a big smile, carrying Gu Ying'an around the living room on all fours. When they passed me, Gu Ying'an said smugly, Peasant, you've never played horseback riding, have you? Riding horses is so much fun. I pursed my lips and fired back. It's not that fun. Last time I saw people riding like this was in a TV show. Most of those princes who rode like that ended up preying pretty badly. Gu Ying'an's body tilted, and he jumped off the butler's back in a panic. His little face turned red with anger. He pointed at me and shrieked, Peasant, you dare curse me dead. 4. The butler behind Gu Yan was still in his crawling position on the floor. He stared at me with eyes wide as saucers, frantically shaking his head at me. I copied him and shook my head hard, then said seriously, I'm just educating you, brother. Having an empty head isn't a problem, we can fill it up, the key is not to let water in. Shake your head, brother. See if you can hear the ocean. The butler sucked in a sharp breath and closed his eyes like he'd given up, preparing for a storm to hit. Sure enough, Gu Ying'an trembled with rage, his little face scrunched up, and he shouted, You peasant! Just wait, I'm gonna make your family pay. I sighed and looked at him with pity. I'm afraid not, bro. Is your cerebellum underdeveloped? Or is your whole brain just not developing at all? Again. My home is your home now. You want the family ruined? Did you ask Mom's opinion? He got tangled up in my words and couldn't speak. He turned around, face all red, ran to Mom, grabbed her sleeve, and whined. Mom, she's talking back to me. I don't want her. Send her back. Mom didn't even pay attention to him. Instead, she gently took my hand and said, Anyone, go play in the living room for a bit. Mommy's going to change clothes, then I'll show you around, okay? I was so touched I almost cried. This was the first time an adult didn't criticize me for being too aggressive. I tried my best to act well, behave. Oh, Ken, you go ahead. I'll wait for you in the living room. Gu Ying'an still wouldn't give up. He tugged at Mom's clothes, staring at her desperately. Mom gently pried his little hand off and said word by word. Gu Ying'an, from now on, you anyone is your sister. Whatever you have, she'll have too. She went upstairs humming a tune. Gu Ying'an stood there like he'd been struck by lightning, totally dejected. Mom's words completely established my status in the Gu family. It made my heart feel all warm. I didn't bother with Gu Ying'an anymore and wandered around the living room on my own. Our family living room is huge. It feels bigger than the entire orphanage. I touched this and looked at that, totally curious. I couldn't believe this would be my home from now on. Suddenly, a childish sneer came from behind me. Country bumpkin, not only do you look kinda tacky, you've got no class either. Oh wow, Gu Ying'an figured out he can't get rid of me, so now he's attacking me. Without even turning around. Not too shabby. I've got just enough dirt to bury you. He got so mad, he stomped over in front of me, glaring at me as he demanded. Are you so cocky, because Mom and Dad have your back? I thought about it and shook my head. Nope, I'm just naturally like this, so why are you so cocky? Is it because the Animal Protection Society got your back? Gu Ying'an froze for 2 seconds before he got it. His finger trembled as he pointed at me, totally losing it, screaming. Your mouth is so mean for a girl. No guy's gonna want you when you grow up. I shrugged and calmly replied. Not necessarily, but bro, you're so great. When you grow up, tons of guys will be fighting over you. Gu Ying'an stared at me, dumbfounded, totally speechless. The comments were all praising. Good one, sis. The villain's such a brat, someone needs to put him in his place. Sis, let me borrow that mouth. I really need it. That mouth's like it's laced with poison. First time I've seen the villain look like he's questioning his entire existence. Am I the only one worried the villain's gonna reform? What if he doesn't obsess over the female lead later? I really ship those two. The meaner sis is to him now, the more the villain will be blown away by our sweet female lead later. Even harder. That's right, sis. Go all out. We've got your back. I don't care what happens between Gu Ying'an and the female lead. The important thing is I need to make it to adulthood. Of course, if I can also help Mom and Dad get rid of a major headache along the way, I'd be more than happy to. Just then, Mom came downstairs and waved at me. I ran over to her with a big smile. After touring the house with Mom, dinner was ready too. Dad had an emergency and went out. It was just Mom and me at home, and Gu Ying'an. The butler filled the dining table with beautiful dishes. Then he came over to me and loaded up my plate, saying with a smile, Miss, tell me which one you like, and I'll make it more often for you. I'd never seen such beautiful food before. I couldn't resist. I said sweetly to the butler. Thanks you, Xia. Then I immediately buried my face in my plate and started wolfing it down. I didn't expect the butler to dab at the corner of his eye. Muttering emotionally, she actually said thank you. What a good kid. While I chewed away, I thought to myself, just how rude is Gu Ying'an? I just said thank you, and the butler is tearing up. Gu Ying'an sitting across from me seemed like he wanted to compete with me. He took a bite of food from his plate and said in a tiny voice, Tonight's food is really good, thank you. Xiaohe. The butler froze on the spot. It wasn't until Mom said with a faint smile, Xiaohe, sit down and eat, that the butler snapped out of it and stiffly pulled out a chair to sit. But Gu Ying'an's manners didn't last long. I was eating happily when he suddenly huffed at me rudely. Country bumpkin, eat less. Look how fat you are. I didn't even lift my head from my plate. My mouth was stuffed full as I said, What fat? I just absorb nutrients well. Well, you should eat less out. Look how bored you are. Gu Ying'an got roasted by me again. He stared at me wide-eyed. He couldn't figure out why every single thing he said could fire right back at. He wasn't giving up, so he attacked me again. You're fat and dark. You don't look like a Gu family kid at all. I finally lifted my head from my plate, sat up straight, and said, How do I not look like one? I'm just not as shallow as you, bro. After I said that, Gu Ying'an frowned in confusion. I knew he didn't get the fancy word shallow yet, so I kindly picked up my chopsticks and put a piece of fish on his plate. Ow, eat more fish, it's good for your brain. That's when Gu Ying'an finally got it. His face instantly turned red as a tomato. You're calling me Duncan? I comforted him. It's okay, bro. You can fix it by eating fish. It's just that. He glared at me. Just what? I smiled. It's just that with the gap between you and me, you'd probably have to eat a pair of whales to catch up. Gu Ying'an stared at me blankly, totally defeated. The comments were losing it. Sis's mouth is too savage. She completely stunned the villain. The villain learned to control his emotions at an age when kids can't even control their bladder. Gotta say, Mom and Dad picked the right approach to fix him. Not even half a day and the villain's eyes already look clearer. Puff! Hey! A very soft sound came from beside me. I turned my head and saw Mom with her head down, shoulders shaking. She lifted her head, trying hard to suppress a smile, and said, "Seeing you two get along so well puts my mind at ease. Mom's a smart woman who runs a big company, but she's deeply mistaken about my relationship with Gu Yinggen. She always thinks that when we meet, we bicker nonstop, which is a sign we get along well. Since I came to the Gu family, 10 years have flown by. In those 10 years, I grew into a graceful young woman. The only thing that hasn't changed is my mouth. It's still ridiculously sharp." Gu Yinggen also shot up into a tall, upright young man a head taller than me. Girls at school were all fooled by his pretty face. They'd often wait in the freezing cold for an hour, just to catch a glimpse of him. I totally didn't get. Though he's changed a lot. He's no longer that arrogant, obnoxious brat from when we were kids. Maybe I beat him down too hard as a kid. He couldn't out-talk me or out-study me. Over time, he reined in all his arrogance and channeled all his energy into finding ways to beat me. His grades kept getting better and better. He's polite and courteous to everyone. Except me, of course. He still got zero manners with me. I don't know when he stopped calling me country bumpkin. But he never calls me sister. He's really one stubborn guy. Moving up to high school, Gu Yinggen and I were still in the same class. But we barely talked at school. I'm sharp-tongued and standoffish. I just enjoy being alone. Social skills though, flies and bees buzzing all around him. On the first day of second semester, I used the face cream Mom gave me. I'd hit the age where I cared about my looks. So every now and then I'd doll myself up a bit. I didn't expect to lock eyes with Gu Yinggen the second I came downstairs. He twitched his lips and asked me, "Genuine question, are you wearing makeup to hide how ugly you are?" He'd been around me so long. He'd become a master of passive aggression. I wasn't pleased at all. One comeback. 我只满天. Who's really in charge here? I flipped my hair and smiled at him. "No, do you wear pants to protect your shortcomings?" His brow furrowed ever so slightly. He's not as hot-headed as you as when we were kids. Crying when he couldn't win an argument. He squinted at me and squeezed out through his teeth. "Take off your makeup. You could go straight to Halloween like that." I walked to the entryway, putting on my shoes. "Halloween's no fun. You should take off your pants. Then you could go straight to Children's Day." I opened the door and walked out. Xiaohe was already waiting for us in the car. Gu Yinggen followed behind me, fuming helplessly. "Gu Yuanyuan, I can't even say 2 words to you." I didn't turn around, just brushed him off. "Well, I didn't say anything about you either." He suddenly went quiet. I turned around to look at him. He stood there, frowning at me, his face bright red. "Don't just say stuff like that. It's like you'd even know." "Ashaba." I wouldn't know. I'm not into greyhounds. Gu Yinggen's look could have killed me. Actually, his body's pretty good. At home, I'd occasionally catch him shirtless. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, muscles all defined. But I've got the heavy responsibility of keeping him from getting too cocky. It's my duty to keep him in check. When we got to the classroom, I headed to my seat in the very back row. Gu Yinggen sits right in front of me. There are only 2 empty seats in the whole class. And Gu Yinggen used his money skills to claim both for us. I just set down my bag when the homeroom teacher walked in and tapped the board. "I have 2 transfer students today. Let's give them a warm welcome." I looked up. Standing at the front was a tall, skinny guy. Strikingly handsome. His flirty eyes swept excitedly across the classroom. Next to him stood a girl who looked kind of familiar. She had straight bangs and big eyes. She looked quiet and sweet. I was trying to remember where I'd seen this girl before. When my vision was suddenly flooded with comments I hadn't seen in a while. "Ah, the male lead is so hot. The female lead is so pretty. I want to see the villain's expression right now. Did he fall for her on the spot?" Can't take his eyes off the female lead, waiting for the drama. So the male and female leads are here. I looked over at Gu Yinggen in the middle of the classroom. He was slouched over his desk, didn't even lift his head. I remember in the original story the male lead transfers in, asks to sit with the female lead, and the villain objects. They almost get into a fight. Was protected by the female lead as a kid. When he grew up, he recognized her right away, and him running over like a puppy wagging his tail. Look, Yao Yao keeps staring at the villain. In the original story, Yao Yao liked her foster brother from the start. Only later does she fall for the male lead after his relentless pursuit. This is gonna be good. I leaned back in my chair, crossed my arms, and sized out the girl on stage. 10 years. Wonder if she even remembers me. As if sensing my gaze, she suddenly turned her head, and our eyes met. The instant our eyes locked, she looked away in a panic. I slowly curled my lips. Looks like she didn't forget. Just then, a burning gaze pinned itself on me. I tilted my head and saw the male lead, Shen Yi, staring straight at me. I thought it was weird, but I stared right back, not backing down. His face flushed, and he randomly winked at me. I quickly looked away, getting goosebumps all over. Why's this guy got zero sense of boundaries? After they introduced themselves, the teacher told them to find seats. Then laughed. The only available seats were next to me and Gu Yinggen. Ningya walked straight toward Gu Yinggen. She stopped in front of him and asked with a bright smile, "Hi, can I sit next to you?" Gu Yinggen seemed lost in thought. It was like he didn't hear her. He didn't even look up. The smile on Ningyao's face froze. She gently tapped on Gu Yinggen's desk. Only then did Gu Yinggen lift his head. His tone was polite but distant as he asked, "Can I help you?" Ningyao stuck out her tongue, shyly pointing at the seat next to him. "Can I sit next to you?" Gu Yinggen hesitated for a second, then suddenly looked back at me. I rolled my eyes at him. He immediately turned around with a dark expression, about to agree with Ningyao. when Shen Yi, standing at the podium, walked past Ning Yao with a bright smile on his face. Ning Yao thought was coming to find her, so she furrowed her brows, took a deep breath, and said to Shen Yi, "Sorry, Shen, I can't sit with you." Shen Yi stopped in his tracks and looked at Ning Yao with a strange expression. "Are you okay? Who said I wanted to sit with you?" Ning Yao froze, her face turning pale and flushed, and she asked back, "You don't want to sit with me?" Shen Yi muttered something about how weird that was, then brushed past her. He stopped right in front of me with a flashy smile. He completely ignored everything around him. His eyes locked on me, like he was staring at a juicy piece of meat. The comments started flooding with question marks. The male lead isn't fighting the villain for the female lead anymore. Our female lead just lost a lapdog. The male lead has a complicated family situation. He's an illegitimate son from a wealthy family who survived by playing weak. He has zero resistance to pure and kind girls like the female lead. He'll fall for her sooner or later. Comments, you better be right about that. Just as Shen Yi was about to pull out the chair and sit down, Gu Ying'an suddenly stood up, braced himself on the desk next to me, and faltered to the back row. Before he even steadied himself, he plopped down right next to me. Shen Yi frowned, staring at the person who suddenly appeared. Gu Ying'an caught his breath and said, "She's my sister. I gotta look after her. You go sit up front." Shen Yi suddenly looked shy. He fidgeted and said, "Oh, you're her big brother. Your sister's really cute, totally my type. Do me a solid and help us out here." That comment stunned both me and Gu Ying'an. I looked at Shen Yi in confusion, wondering what was going on with him. The polite father Gu Ying'an was trying so hard to maintain instantly shattered. He jumped out and pointed at Shen Yi, shouting, "What's your problem? Who's your brother-in-law?" After yelling at Shen Yi, he turned around and yelled at me. "Gu Yuan, have you not showered lately? Where'd you pick up this fly?" I suddenly didn't know how to respond. This was the first time Gu Ying'an left me speechless. Turned into total chaos. The plot where the male lead and villain fight over the female lead just turned into them fighting over this random extra. Stole the female lead's position she adopted. Now she's stealing the male lead and villain too. Is it possible the female lead isn't a specific person? Then the original female lead is so pitiful, she lost not only her wealthy family status but also her romantic destiny. It's all because of this extra showing off and stealing someone else's fate. Exactly, our sweet innocent female lead did nothing wrong. I sneered inwardly. I don't know if the comments are right. But if Ning Yao really did nothing wrong, why won't she look me in the eye? Ning Yao stared at the scene in disbelief. Her hands clutching her skirt, her face turning red with embarrassment. Gu Yan saw me staying silent and slapped me on the back. But he didn't use force, just snapped me out of it. "Gu Yuan, you usually run your mouth nonstop. Now you're mute." I was about to speak when Shen Yi said seriously, "Brother-in-law, I know calling you that right now is a bit forward. But I'm serious about Yuan. If you're worried, I can pursue Yuan right in front of you." Gu Ying'an's face turned dark as ink. He said through gritted teeth, "You're gonna pursue her? In front of me?" Shen Yi blinked and nodded vigorously. "Yeah, brother-in-law, you can supervise the whole thing." Gu Ying'an took a deep breath, stayed silent for a few seconds, then suddenly turned to mock me. Well, Gu Yuanin, he wants to chase you, you hear that? Someone actually daring to chase me, that's pretty rare. My whole life, any guy who talked to me for more than 2 sentences stayed far away. Except for Gu Ying'an, he can't avoid me. That familiar spite filled up my chest again. I didn't hold back with Shen Yi at all. I opened my mouth and asked, "Why are you chasing me? I don't have dog food." But Shen Yi didn't feel insulted at all. Instead, his eyes lit up with excitement. "True, you don't have dog food. But Yuan, do you think I'm like a puppy?" "Forget being a puppy. If you agree to be with me, I'd give you my life." Both Gu Ying'an and I were stung speechless. Oh no, I met my match. I gotta stay steady. I kept pushing his buttons. "Why not just say you'll give me all your money? You're only offering stuff nobody wants." Shen Yi sincerely shook his head. "True, my life is worthless. But my feelings for you can't be measured in money." Guys, how do I respond to that? Even I Gu Yuan have a day where I'm backed into a corner. Thankfully, the bell rang right then and saved me. Shen Yi caught Gu Ying'an off guard, shoved him aside, and plopped down next to me. He grinned at Gu Yan. "Thanks, brother." Gu Ying'an completely lost it and hissed through his teeth. "Shut up, I'm not her brother." Shen Yi only froze for a second, then put on an alarmed expression and turned to whisper to me. "Yuan, does he have a bad temper? Feels like he gets mad over nothing. My mom always says, guys with unstable emotions are bad news." Every single word landed right in Gu Ying'an's ears. "You two-faced snake, what are you saying?" He squeezed the words out through his teeth. The teacher walked into the classroom right at that moment. Gu Ying'an shot Shen Yi a fierce glare and was forced to go back to his original seat. Shen Yi hunched down behind me and couldn't help adding fuel to the fire. "Yuan, look, he's so scary. I'm afraid." "The condoms." "Wait, the male deceiving major two-faced energy right now. I can smell it through the screen." The villain was just born to play the fake sibling angle. He really panicked. That carefully maintained gentleman act just went out the window. I'm team male lead because I can't resist that face. Do I have to choose? I'll take the two-faced male lead and the tsundere villain both. To be honest, I'd like to take them both too. But I don't dare. because Gu Yan is staring at me like a ghost. During class, Shan Yi said he forgot his book and insisted on sharing mine. He leaned that handsome face really close to me. I'm a hot-blooded 16-year-old girl. How can I resist this temptation? Before I knew it, I was staring at his profile in a daze. Just then, the teacher stepped out and told us to study on our own. Shan Yi suddenly chuckled softly. You anyone, you can't hide it when you like someone. I snapped back to reality, my mouth moving before my brain. But when you like more than 2 people, you better hide it. Shan Yi wasn't upset at all. He smiled at me. So, who do you like? He snorted. Lots of people. Chairman Mao, Benjamin Franklin, John, Monash. I didn't expect him to actually get it. True, I like them too. I opened my mouth, not knowing what to say. This kind of attack only works on someone clueless like Gu Ying'an. A sense of defeat rushed to my head, making my face flush hot. Shan Yi suddenly stuck his head right in front of me. You anyone, your face is all red, so cute. I swatted his head away. Watch what you say, I don't want diabetes. He kept smiling and nodded. Fine, I won't say it, but I'll devour you sooner or later. Right then, Gu Ying'an suddenly turned around, veins popping on his forehead. He stared at us with dark eyes and said sarcastically, You two really hit it off. Should I tell Mom to get your dowry ready early? I'm genuinely afraid he'll snitch to my adoptive mother. After all, I'm usually the one teasing him about all the girls chasing him. This is the first time he's caught me red-handed. I quickly said righteously. That freeloader's sweet talk can't crack this tough nut. Hearing my words, Gu Ying'an smugly raised his eyebrows at Shan Yi. Shan Yi wasn't fazed at all. Instead, he started gossiping in my ear. You anyone, guys who tattle are no good either. The smug look on Gu Ying'an's face instantly froze. He reached out to grab Shan Yi by the collar. You snake, what are you whispering now? Right then, Ning Yao suddenly turned around with a frown and a big smile. Gu, I really envy you. Boys like you so much. Is it because you wear makeup? I never wear any of that stuff. The 3 of us turned our eyes to her in unison. That stench is way too Even Gu Ying'an's eyes flashed with disgust. I stayed silent for a moment. I wanted to observe her more. But since she's asking for it, I won't hold back. I used the look I learned from years around old money circles to size her up and say, True, you don't need makeup, you just need to put on a lat. She froze for a second, but quickly put that fake smile back on. Yeah, I'm always barefaced. Your makeup is so heavy. Doesn't the teacher say anything? I almost burst out laughing. I fought to keep a straight face and stared right at her. No, our school's pretty open-minded. You look a little pale. Want me to slap some blush on those cheeks for you? A hint of smug satisfaction flashed in Ning Yao's eyes. But she still bit her lip and said, Gu, you sound so hostile. I didn't even bat an eye. Ning, your voice sounds so disgusting. Ning Yao looked pitifully at Gu Ying'an and Shan Yi. But one was watching me like it was a show, and the other was staring at me like a lovesick fool neither paid her any attention. Ning Yao showed a hint of resentment and continued pitifully. You anyone, I just wanted to ask you how to get so many boys to like you. Nobody likes me. When she said that last part, she deliberately looked at Gu Ying'an. Her tone made it sound like she wanted to slap a label on her forehead. I'm a good girl. I've never dated anyone. I sneered and asked her. Isn't it normal that nobody likes you? Don't you have any self-awareness and you're asking? You shut her down so hard her face went pale and she couldn't say a word. Neither of the 2 guys spoke up for her. Gu Ying'an didn't because he's naturally mean. He loves watching me tear people down, whether they're guys or girls. These past few years he's acted like a gentleman on the surface. But deep down he's dark as hell. Shan Yi has something wrong with him, like he's under a spell. Only a few comments were sympathizing with Ning Yao. Our poor female lead, Gu Yuniwen, get lost and give our Yao Yao her place. The female lead is so pitiful, Gu Yuniwen is just targeting her. With white doesn't she just drop dead? Female lead and male lead still have a chance. The female lead protected him when they were kids, and he gave her a necklace. The male lead definitely has the wrong person. Once the female lead shows the necklace, he'll kick you anyone to the curb. These comments were praising my sharp tongue before. Now they want me dead. How fickle. As soon as class ended, Gu Ying'an went to find the Hong Renqi. Definitely threw money at the problem again. The teacher switched his seat with Shan Yi's. His mood instantly improved. He even had the energy to bicker with me. Never noticed before, but your eyebrows look like caterpillars. Pretty cute. I was reading, and slowly lifted my head. I noticed long ago your hairline looks like a receding coastline. Pretty bald. Not only was he not annoyed, he actually smiled. You observed me that closely. When he smiled, the corners of his eyes lifted, and that familiar face took on a suggestive edge. My heart skipped a beat, and a strange feeling filled my chest. I panicked and quickly shot back. Your shiny head reflected light into my eyes. He wanted to say something but hesitated, his eyes sweeping over Shan Yi's figure up front. He quickly looked back at me and whispered, You're so cute you dazzled my heart. I was about to shoot back automatically when I suddenly registered what he said. Mouth hung open, eyes wide as I stared at him. He looked down, a blush quickly creeping from his neck to his ears. Just like when we were kids, his whole face turned red as a tomato. The afternoon sunlight happened to graze his reddened ears, outlining a fuzzy golden edge. I lost all ability to speak and quickly buried my head in my book. Well played, Gu Yingan. Even though I never saw you as a brother, turns out you never saw me as a sister either. Good thing he didn't say another word. The two of us stayed silent like that until school finally let out. He packed up his bag before me and walked out of the classroom. I slowly packed my things and got ready to leave. A pair of big hands suddenly grabbed my wrist from behind. I turned around to see Shen Yi looking at me kind of shyly. You anyone, you free tonight? A cold stare pierced through me, making my skin crawl. I immediately shook off Shen Yi's hand and said, No need, I got a bathroom at home. He laughed. You're funny. So if I miss you tonight, can I call you? I couldn't really refuse that. And that's young commercial banker China Construction. Shen Yi was super patient. He stepped closer to me. That handsome face suddenly zoomed in right before my eyes. His warm breath brushing against my ear. He said in a tempting voice, A phone call. We can talk about something private. After saying that, he even blew on my neck. I jumped and shoved him away, yelling, No thanks, I'm not interested in your length. The whole classroom fell so quiet you could hear the cicadas outside. A voice so dark it could wring out water broke the silence. Gu Yuanyuan, why aren't you heading home? I spun around and saw Gu Yingan standing in the doorway. One hand in his pocket, the other nearly crushing the door frame. I tried to look calm as I walked toward him. Let's go, home. Gu Ying silently warned Shen Yi with his eyes. Shen Yi smiled and waved at me. See you tomorrow, Yuanyuan. Then said to Gu Yingan like a prayer. Please, call in sick tomorrow. On the way home, Gu Yingan trash-talked Shen Yi the whole time. Stay away from him. He's a total snake. He's got bad intention. I'm not defending Shen Yi. I just automatically argued with Gu Yingan. What bad intentions? He just likes me. Gu Yingan's eyes went wide and his voice jumped up. Watch out or you'll get played, then come crying to me to save you. I pursed my lips, a little annoyed. I'd never ask you, that'd be embarrassing. Gu Yingan was out of moves. He huffed up. Mom said no dating before college. I nodded. I'm not planning to date now either. I'll wait till college. Gu Yuliwan, you're impossible, aren't you? If you date, what about me? The air in the car froze. The butler kept glancing in the rearview mirror, checking the back seat. Gu Yingan's face turned red, and he quickly looked out the window. My face turned red too as I looked out the other window. The atmosphere got super awkward. The butler cleared his throat and pointed outside excitedly. Young master. Look, that big tree outside is really big. Gu Yingan and I got even quieter. Back home, after dinner, Gu Yingan and I went to our rooms to study. I just stepped onto the stairs when Gu Yingan blocked my way. His brow was furrowed tight, his tone stiff. Don't call Shen Yi tonight. I'm watching you. I rolled my eyes at him. Gu Yingan, are you sick? His voice was angry. If I wasn't sick, I wouldn't be talking to you. Nice, Gu Yingan, your skills are improving. I instantly switched expressions, pouting pitifully. Why are you so mean? Why don't you go guard the gate? Take over for Big Yellow. Gu Yuanyuan. He practically squeezed my name through his teeth. I shoved past him with my shoulder and went upstairs. That night, Gu Yingan was like a peacock showing off. He knocked on my door every 10 minutes, holding up a workbook, asking ridiculously easy math questions. At first, he was fully dressed. After a while, he showed up in a loosely tied robe, open all the way down to his waist. After another while, he walked in completely shirtless. I grabbed the workbook and threw it at him. Gu Yingan, are you an exhibitionist? He dodged easily, and even flipped his hair, flexing his arm muscles, striking a pose to show off his lines. It was so cringy. Why so jumpy? I was about to shower, just checking on you on the way. I jumped up and shoved him toward the door. If the dog wasn't here for you, wouldn't you freak out? After locking him outside, I realized my face was burning. Thanks to Gu Yingan, I dreamed about him all night. That sharp, mean face of his. I showed up at school the next day with dark circles under my eyes. Shen Yi came over as soon as he saw me. Yuanyuan, did you miss me that much last night? Lost so much weight overnight. I was in a bad mood and extra sarcastic. Still not as skinny as you. You and the box together weigh exactly 4 pounds. He pretended to spit blood, then looked at the empty seat next to me, and Joe. Gu Yingan's not here. Did my prayer actually work? Just hearing his name made me feel all floaty. I quickly shook my head to get him out of it. No idea. Gu Yingan and I had just gotten to school when he got a text. He glanced at his phone, his expression changed, and he headed to the lab. Shen Yi happened to check his phone, just then too. He frowned slightly and paused. I need to step out. Right after he left, the homeroom teacher walked in and looked around. Told me to go get the 3 people near me who were missing. He had an announcement. I called Gu Yingan. He actually hung up on me. I reluctantly left the classroom and headed in the direction Gu Yingan went first. When I got to the lab door, I saw 3 figures through the glass. The people the teacher wanted were all there. I was about to push the door when I heard Gu Yingan's icy voice. Say what you just said again. To him. Ning Yao looked tenderly at Shen Yi and said softly. I guess told Yingen what kind of person his foster sister really is. He didn't believe. He said he spent all these years with Gu Yuanyuan and knows her character best. So I had to call you here as a witness. Shen Yi frowned, looking really annoyed. Witness to what? Ning Yao's expression turned sad. She said slowly. Shen Yi, did you get the wrong person? She opened her palm to reveal a red string bracelet. Shen Yi's expression changed. Why do you have that? When Shen Yi reached for the bracelet, Ning Yao pulled it back. She furrowed her brow, sounding so sure. 保护了你 because I protected you at the orphanage back then. And you gave this to me with your own hands, isn't that right? Back at the orphanage, Gu Rinyuan was the ringleader who bullied the other kids. Their favorite target was me. They hit my head, stole my food, tore my clothes. But then you showed up one day, and they turned on you instead. They threw rocks at you. I stepped up and protected you. You only stayed at the orphanage 3 days. When you left, you gave me this bracelet. Shen Yi stared at Ning Yao without moving, a weird look on his face. Gu Yingen got impatient and muttered. Why the hell am I wasting time here with you people? With that, he turned to leave, his face dark. Ning Yao panicked and grabbed him. Yingen, there's evidence and a witness. You still don't believe it. Your sister is the bully. Gu Yingen jerked away from Ning Yao like she chucked him and yelled. I don't need you people telling me what kind of person you anyone is. Who do you think you are? Ning Yao flinched back, her eyes instantly red and wet with tears. She said Chanbui. I guess didn't want you in the dark. She was always jealous of me as a kid. When I saw her again, I didn't want to expose her. But you saw it yourselves, she keeps targeting me. I'm scared. That's why I decided to tell you the truth. Yingen, when your parents brought you to the orphanage, I wanted to expose her then. So you wouldn't adopt her, but I was too scared then, so I backed down. Now, I don't want her hurting anyone else. I have a duty to speak up. I almost threw up. After Ning Yao's dramatic speech, Gu Yingen sneered. Real touching, you know how to spell gun. Before Ning Yao could react, Gu Yingen said. 真优赖. After insulting her, he strode toward the door, but Shen Yi stopped him. Wait, don't you want to know the truth? Gu Yingen stopped. I'm tired of listening. Before Shen Yi could continue, I pushed the door open and walked in. Ning Yao, what brand of plastic bag are you? You hold so much. What agency signed you? You act so well. How do you take care of your skin? How can it be that thick? Which sore didn't get covered properly and let you crawl out? Did you put laxatives on your lips? Just spewing garbage. If you can't do makeup, at least you can eat. Eat some makeup and work on your inner beauty. I finished my rant in one breath. Ning Yao backed away step by step in horror. Don't let her near me. I'm scared. Of course, no one paid her any attention. Gu Yingen immediately moved to my side. Shen Yi pouted and came over to me, saying with grievance. Yuanyuan, how did the necklace I gave you back then end up in her hands? When Ning Yao twisted the truth just now, it all came back to me. Years ago, I protected a little boy from Ning Yao. His mom had abandoned him at the orphanage. But the little boy's mom regretted it soon after and came back for him. Before he left, he gave me a necklace with his name engraved on it. The next day, Ning Yao snatched that necklace. Back at the orphanage, Ning Yao was the princess. She made all the kids listen to her, be her slaves. Anyone who dared to resist, she'd lead the bullying against them. Because I was a loner with a rebellious streak, I was always her main target for bullying. Everything Ning Yao just said, she's the one who did all that to me. I sneered and jerked my chin toward Ning Yao. Ask her, how did something that belonged to me end up in her hands? Ning Yao shook her head, trembling, her voice shrill. It's mine. This is proof I protected Shen Yi. As soon as she finished, she lunged at Shen Yi, eyes bloodshot, grabbing his arm desperately. Shen Yi, you gave this to me yourself. Look at it carefully. It has your name on it. It can't be fake. Shen Yi pried her hands off, took back the necklace, his voice ice cold. The necklace is real, but you, fake is fake. I forgot a lot of things. I can't even remember who bullied me. But that girl who protected me with everything she had. Her face, I'll never mistake it, not even in death. I found out ages ago she was adopted by the Gu family. I transferred here because of her. I stared at Shen Yi, a little dazed. No wonder he came after me so aggressively the moment he saw me. I forgot what that little boy I protected looked like. But he kept my image perfectly preserved in his heart all these years. But I can't return these intense feelings. Ning Yao stumbled back a few steps and collapsed into a chair. Her eyes were glazed over, repeating over and over. It's not supposed to be like this, I saw it in my dream. I'm the female lead, they're all supposed to like me. That sentence only I understood. The comment stopped sympathizing with Ning Yao. Oh my god, she was the bully, she totally deserves this. She could have had a real princess life. But she was a bully, bullies don't deserve it. The male lead really came through, good thing he remembered his first love. Or the bully would have gotten away with her lies. The villain really loves her. From start to finish, he stood by Yuanyuan. Stop arguing, just schedule them both. What nonsense are these comments saying? I walked out of the lab, my face red. Gu Yingen walked behind me and made a phone call. I knew that soon I wouldn't be seeing Ning Yao at school anymore. On the way back to class, I decided to clear things up with Shen Yi. So I made up an excuse and sent Gu Yinggen away first. He was a bit reluctant. Before leaving, he even threatened Shen Yi with his eyes. It was just me and Shen Yi. I struggled for a long time. Shen Yi, I'm really happy you remembered me all this time, but... The rest stuck in my throat. I didn't know how to say it. But Shen Yi smiled and picked it up perfectly naturally. But I came too late. I can't squeeze in between you two, right? I froze slightly and instinctively protested. No, that's not. There's nothing between us. Shen Yi chuckled softly and ruffled my hair. Yuan, you're still the same as when you were little, not honest. With that, he waved at me and turned back to the classroom first. When I followed him in, Gu Yinggen was sitting there with a stiff face, his brow furrowed tight. His expression only relaxed when he saw me. As soon as I sat down, he leaned over and asked in a low voice, "What'd you talk about? Why'd it take so long?" I remembered what Shen Yi just said and felt inexplicably irritated. I pushed his head away and said grumpily, "Can't help it, not like you. Everything you do is real quick." Gu Yinggen choked, his ears instantly turning red. He stewed for a long time before gritting. "Gu Awen, your mouth is so mean. Fix it." I replied with a grin. "You're so patient. Just deal with it." The college Anxiang celebration day. I drank some beer with classmates and came home feeling dizzy. My adoptive parents were both on bus. Only Gu Yinggen's room showed a sliver of light. The sound of rushing water came from inside. The comments chattered in front of me. "Oh, check it out quick. If it's not good, return him. The male lead hasn't run far yet. You kept saying the villain was short. If he really is short, what are you gonna do?" "I'm telling you, scheduling the villain and male lead from the start would have been perfect." Fueled by liquid courage, I climbed the stairs and snuck into Gu Yinggen's room. I kept hypnotizing myself. I'm drunk. Whatever happens isn't my fault. I approached the bathroom step by step, my heart in my throat. I pushed open the bathroom door, steam blurred my vision. Before I could see anything, everything went dark. The light went off. I was lifted up and tossed onto the bed. Hot breath fell on my neck. A playful voice sounded above me. "Don't tell me you walked into the wrong room." My head was spinning. I couldn't think straight. I could only rely on instinct and reflexively protest. "I did not. I walked into your room on purpose." "Oh." Gu Yinggen's voice was pleased. "So you came to my room, definitely not to find me, right?" I protested. "Who says I came here to find you?" Gu Yinggen paused, deliberately drawing out his words. "So you came to find me, you probably don't want to do anything with me, right?" I said confidently. "How is that possible? I want to do everything with you." The air around us suddenly fell silent. A few seconds later, all I could hear was Gu Yinggen exhaling deeply. "You said it yourself, Gu Yuanwen." I stared wide-eyed at the pitch-black ceiling, nervous, waiting for what was about to happen. Suddenly, the light overhead came on. My adoptive parents squeezed into Gu Yinggen's room, holding a cake. "Sweeties, the college entrance exam is over." Their voices cut abrupt. I rolled off Gu Yinggen's bed and jumped out. My dizzy head instantly cleared. Gu Yinggen was lying sideways on the bed in a bathrobe, looking ridiculously smug. I looked at my stunned adoptive parents and stammered, trying to explain. "Mom, Dad." Mom rushed right at me. "Oh my god, sweetie, your eyes finally went blind. You can actually see something in Gu Yinggen." Mom is so happy. I've been worried you'd go your separate ways and Gu Yinggen would turn back into his old self. Now, my biggest worry is completely solved. "Honey, quick, get the gifts for the kids." Dad immediately pulled out 2 documents from behind him. 2 trust funds worth 1 billion each. "We promised we'd give them to you when you became adults. Now that you've finished your exams, you can freely choose the life you want." My adoptive parents hugged me affectionately. They each planted a kiss on my cheek, then dragged each other out of the bedroom. Before closing the door, Mom winked at us and said, "We're going out. We'll be back in 3 days. Oh, and I gave the house staff time off too. The bedroom door clicked shut. The world instantly went quiet. I still hadn't recovered. Gu Yinggen's ghostly voice sounded behind me. "Let's continue, Gu Yuan."